Hello and welcome back to this Orbiter 2016 video series. I'm Tex and this is episode 15, the final episode of our series Journey to Saturn. In the previous episode we conducted the ejection burn and we're in the process of coasting away from Saturn on our way back to our small world in the inner solar system. We've got a lot to cover in this episode, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so as we drift away from Saturn here, we're just going to do something a little bit different and just enjoy the view as Saturn gets smaller off in the distance. And we're going to do some rather rapid time acceleration and knock out this multi-year flight we have ahead of us between Saturn and Earth. And we're going to come back and narrate the rest of the flight once we have Earth in sight. So we'll see you in just a moment. Alright, so you can see we are now here back at Earth. That was definitely a fast way to knock out several years of space travel. Let's put in our remaining delta V and we'll take a look at how much delta V it actually took for us to conduct the mid-course corrections. Some typical mid-course corrections were conducted, so you could see that even with the video sped up, but looks like we actually used 609 meters per second. I did fix the spreadsheet, by the way, so all of that looks correct. I guess it's a little more than I anticipated, but not too terrible. So what I'm going to do right now is put in 16,950 meters per second for the delta V that it is telling us we need to circularize our orbit over there on the left IMFD map program. And one of the things that I did in the mid-course corrections is similar to what we did when we arrived at Saturn, I swung the line of nodes over to our periapsis. And I did that because we're going to rendezvous with Dragon that's currently still orbiting the Earth. And what I'm going to do is, because we're coming in with such a high velocity here, I'm going to actually go ahead and conduct the capture burn, and then we will set up a rendezvous with Dragon using the target intercept program. And I'm just doing that because our velocity is so high that I don't know that it would actually be as efficient to let the target intercept program plan the burn for us, because I think we're going to have to burn pretty early here. In fact, let's go ahead and turn around retrograde, and we'll take a look and see how much time it's going to take to conduct this burn. So if we go to the orbital program, and so yeah, circularize is telling us burn time is 2,669 seconds. Yeah, I'm wondering if taking a look at PET over on the map program over there, it's at 1,050 seconds. So I think we should be burning right now. That's actually over half, I believe. So let's go ahead and hit auto burn. And my only concern is, being this far out, if we hit auto burn on the circularize program, it's going to want to circularize our orbit at this altitude right here, and we obviously don't want that. So I think what I'm going to have to do here is take over manual control. You can see our periapsis is increasing, and yeah, let's go ahead and take over manual control here, because our periapsis increased up to 560 kilometers. So I'm just going to yaw the vessel as required to keep our periapsis down around the 300 kilometer range, which is around where Dragon is orbiting. We're not going to worry about being super precise on that altitude at this point, because we will use the target intercept program to set up a rendezvous with Dragon. So yeah, you can see that Dragon's orbit actually decayed quite a bit during our time away from Earth there. So anyways, so we're just speeding up very quickly through this burn here at the moment, using a little time acceleration. And so we have been captured. I've kept the apoapsis up really high because my plan is to coast up to apoapsis and align our orbital plane with Dragon, which should save us some fuel. You can actually see our apoapsis almost goes out to the moon's orbit, but not quite. So that will suffice. We can actually take a look at the aligned plane MFD and see how much we're looking at here. So about 191.7 seconds of burn time. So still a significant plane change burn there, but a lot better than it was down here at periapsis. So let's just time accelerate and quickly move up to the descending node, and we'll go ahead and conduct that plane alignment with Dragon before we set up the target intercept program. Okay, so actually that lining up the node didn't quite work out like I thought, but we're aligning the orbital plane right now, and yeah, the node actually wasn't up at periapsis. You can see it's actually down much closer to Earth, so that was definitely not a very efficient plane change burn. But anyways, we got it done, so we're now pretty much in plane with Dragon, and the target intercept program will take care of the rest. So at this point, we do need to coast down to periapsis, but I believe we can go ahead and set up the target intercept program now. And we're probably going to want to have our interception point down at periapsis, I believe. So let me think. It's been a little while since I've done this, but I believe we're going to adjust the time of ejection, and I know the time of intercept. So let's just mess around with these, make sure offset was disabled, and it is. And so we obviously need to increase time of intercept here. So I'm looking at the delta V down there, the total delta V. This is going to be a 2 burn. We're going to have one burn where we set up the interception point, and then the second burn will be basically when we intercept Dragon, where we will match velocity with Dragon. Okay, so let me see. Looking for that white line there. Let's swing that over to periapsis area, because that's probably going to be the best interception spot, where our altitude is already relatively similar to Dragon. So it would obviously cost less fuel if we did that. That's weird. So if I bring time of ejection down to our current time, it actually was giving me a lower delta velocity reading, but I wonder if I just keep increasing that and bring it all the way around. So if we coast down to periapsis and then coast back up towards apoapsis and do the burn somewhere in this area. So in other words, coast down to periapsis and just past periapsis, doing the burn in that area, and then coasting up really high again and coming back down would be the most efficient according to what I'm seeing on the total delta velocity at the moment. Just adjust time of interception and get that white intercept point right down at periapsis. So that looks pretty decent, I think. So I think we'll go with that. Let's time accelerate here. And again, we're going to pass periapsis, it looks like, with the burn being just past it a little ways, maybe a quarter of the way past it. Okay, yeah, it sure is good, though, to see the Earth. It is awfully good looking. So we're just speeding time up, making a few small adjustments, but looks good to me. So we're approaching the burn, and we're burning. Not a huge burn here, but a decent amount of delta velocity is going to be required. But IMFD is taking care of it for us, so we're just about finished with the burn. And there it is. So IMFD has completed the burn. Can turn off burn factor. We'll hit page and let's zoom out. There we go. That looks better. Okay, so you can see where we are now. And yeah, we're just going to coast up to our apoapsis and come back down to our periapsis. And if all goes well, we should be intercepting Dragon at that point. Now I may do a few course corrections. As you see the delta velocity increasing a little bit there. It's not too bad right now. We're only it's actually coming down. So it's going up and down a little bit. So we'll just leave it alone for a moment. If it starts getting too high, we can adjust it. Maybe just do some manual adjustment here real quick. We're only looking at about 10 meters per second. So we can bring that down to 0. Look at burn vector. Use that to help us figure out which way we need to use our linear RCS to bring that down to 0. And that's really good enough. So we can continue coasting forward. Make one more small adjustment here. Okay, that looks good. All right, so we're getting close to the interception point. I pulled up the velocity match program there so we can get an idea of what we're looking at. So let's put in the delta velocity. It's 2,208 meters per second. Oh, wow, that's actually quite a bit. That's how much delta velocity we need to match our velocity with the Dragon. So we know it's probably going to be basically retrograde because we need to essentially lower our apoapsis down. So let's time accelerate here, and we're going to keep putting the delta velocity into burn time as we get closer so we can get an accurate prediction of our distance when we should conduct the burn. So right now it looks like the burn should be done about 315 kilometers is probably where I'm going to do the burn here. So we're getting close. All right, there's 321, 20, 19, 18, and we're burning. Okay, so we'll time accelerate a little bit because it's sort of a big burn, and hopefully we stop in time. If all goes well, we'll be relatively close to Dragon, maybe within 3 or 4 kilometers would be ideal. There is 4 kilometers now, and we're almost done with the burn. There's 3 kilometers, 2.8, and we're passing it just a little bit, but I think we'll be okay here. And the burn is just about done. We're throttling down. And there we go. All right, so we have matched our velocity with Dragon. If we rotate over, it should be right there in front of us, just a few kilometers away. And there she is. So of course it is nighttime, so we will wait until sunrise to dock with Dragon. Let's put in our delta V remaining here so we can see the end of the trip, how much velocity we used with Deep Star. So after capture and circularization, and really rendezvous as well, yeah, so we used 19,056 meters per second. But you can see total cost of MCCs was almost 1,400 meters per second, and our total DV used 47,665 meters per second. Wow, that's a lot. Of course, we did use a lot getting back to Earth, so we ended up doing a huge burn, but it got us back here, and we actually did okay with our DV remaining. I'm noticing that the DV remaining there is not quite the same as what it said on burn time, so I'll have to figure out what went wrong with those calculations. But anyways, just to save time, because we've seen docking so many times, we are already docked with Dragon here. So let's go ahead and get our crew over into Dragon. And now comes the fun part. This is something I am completely unfamiliar with, and this is the first time that I'll be re-entering using any kind of a capsule. So hope it works. Let's put in Cape Canaveral for our base sync MFD here and get an idea of when we can get a landing window at Cape Canaveral. So it looks like about 7 orbits away is pretty good. We should be able to bring that off-plane distance down with the fuel that we have left. That shouldn't be too big of a deal. And we should also still have enough, obviously, to deorbit. And by coincidence, it looks like it will also be daylight on that pass by Cape Canaveral. So let's go ahead and time accelerate, and we'll get a little closer to that orbit. Alright, we're back at normal time speed. We're approaching a node, and we're 2 orbits away from Cape Canaveral, so we have initiated the undocking sequence from Deep Star. Our crew is all on board the Dragon, and we are drifting away from the vessel that has been so good to us, taking us out to Saturn and safely back to Earth. Unfortunately, the landers did not make it back with us, and unfortunately we did have some crew that perished, but overall, she was a great ship, and we hate to leave her behind. But I think our crew members are anxious to get back on the ground safely, see their families and friends. But what a sight. What a sight. That is amazing, watching that ship drift away from us. Alright, so we're approaching the node here. We need to burn anti-normal. Uh-oh. That's a problem.
Rotation.
We need to burn that direction. Do you think we can translate down a little bit, but do you think we could shoot that gap right there? Should we try that? Oh, man. We came this far. I think we should probably play it safe. I don't know. I think we could shoot that gap. I think we could. We could fit right in between there. We might hit that antenna, though, on Deep Star. Yeah, I think that's going to be too close. We don't want to end the mission that way, do we? Wow. Damn, that's unfortunate. Okay, so I guess no big deal. We'll just have to coast over to the other node. We'll get a little bit longer to sit here and watch Deep Star drift away from us. Alright, so we're approaching the other node here. We'll just use the opposite direction to conduct this burn. And let's see, we need to burn when time to node is about half of our burn time. Burn time is 390 seconds, so let's time accelerate. We're getting pretty close. Alright, that's good enough. So we're burning. Delta velocity was right about 76 meters per second. Nothing too crazy. Again, we should have enough fuel to perform this maneuver and still deorbit and land. So we'll just knock this out real quick here. Alright, off-plane distance is just about down. And there we go. So that's close enough for now. Whoop. Oh, got a little excited on the time acceleration there. Okay, so we want to point retrograde. Now, this is the part I'm not sure of. I've never used Dragon or any capsule for reentry, but I think it does have a reentry autopilot here. So I'm just looking at my notes. How we set this up. Let me see here. Okay, so we enter landing target name, Cape Canaveral. That's not good. I spelled it right? Yeah, Cape Canaveral. Uh-oh. Okay. It is Cape Canaveral. The config file is Cape Canaveral. I didn't rename it KSE. You can see Cape Canaveral on base sync up there. Let's just try KSE. No, let's try Cape Canaveral lowercase, but I don't think that should matter. Alrighty then. Well, that has definitely made this flight a bit more complicated. Okay, so we're gonna have to do sort of a manual reentry here, I guess. I think the autopilot should work if I can use aero brake to conduct the deorbit burn and make sure that we're lined up at the base and we're falling. Our energy is taking us directly to the base, if you will. That could still be hard to manage, though, because Florida is an awfully narrow stick of land. So if we are off by a little bit, we could end up out in the ocean on either side. Alright, so I guess we need to just coast around and conduct the deorbit burn. I'm just using RCS here to adjust the off-plane distance. It's come off by several kilometers, so we'll bring that back down towards 0. Obviously, that's going to have to be pretty accurate if we want to land anywhere near KSC, since it seems the autopilot is not letting me select Cape Canaveral as a target. Okay, so I'm actually going to overshoot on the off-plane distance, because you'll see that when I stop burning, it's actually counting down back towards 0. So I'm going to overshoot it by a little bit here, and just trying to judge how much. I'm obviously going to have to readjust that again here, because it's already 1 kilometer off, and I think that has to do with the Earth's rotation. So unfortunately, I don't know a really good way to account for that. So we're just going to continue coasting around and conduct the deorbit burn here momentarily. So maybe somewhere right around here is probably good. Okay, and we are burning. So if I open orbit MFD, wow, that's changing really slowly. I'm time accelerating now, but you know what I didn't take into account? This is just a disaster. I didn't take into account the fact that the engines on Dragon are very weak compared to like the XR2. Oh lordy. I think I should have done this burn a lot sooner. So we're gonna have to come in with some really high G's to make this work. And I hope our crew members can survive that. I hope our capsule can survive that, because yeah, we definitely should have burned earlier. Look how long that's taking, and look how low I'm having to take periapsis. That's not good. I'm watching aerobrake. I'm trying to get that white line overlapped with the yellow line, which indicates the base. Our position is white, the base is yellow. I want those two to be overlapped so that our energy takes us to the base. We don't overshoot it, we don't fall short. Our off-plane distance is pretty much on target. We'll adjust that as needed. But there you go. We've conducted the deorbit burn, but I can tell you right now, this is going to be a lot of G's. It's going up, and I bet we're just going to adjust this a little bit more. As I zoom in, you can see we want the white line actually right on that yellow line. The autopilot is now enabled, and wow, we're looking at pulling 10 G's for our poor crew members. Oh gosh, guys. Okay, well, let's really keep our fingers crossed and our seatbelts fastened, because this is going to be a very interesting re-entry here. I don't want to end this series with a disaster, please, if we can avoid that. But again, this is the first time I've ever landed a capsule, so and the fact that the autopilot didn't work, I think it's supposed to actually conduct the deorbit burn and everything itself. So if that had worked, if that had let me select Cape Canaveral, maybe things would be different. But right now, oh my gosh, we're looking at pulling 11 G's here, our poor crew members. Ooh, okay, nice view of the plasma here on our vehicle. It's getting awfully hot, and there's some serious G's going on here. And we still have a lot of velocity. You know what? I don't even know if we're going to stop in time here. So, I mean, we're great as far as off-plane distance is concerned. We're passing right over the base, so we did great there. So at least something worked, but wow, we're pulling some hardcore G's down there at the end. It's predicting. I think we're not there yet, but it's predicting in that red area on aerobrake MFD, 13 G's at the moment. We're not there yet, but oh boy. Hold on, guys. Hold on. You can survive this. We can survive this. But yeah, I mean, look, our velocity is still over 7,000 meters per second. There's Florida. There's no way we're stopping. We're going to cruise right over the Cape. Oh, man, that's terrible. 911, send the aircraft carriers or boats out there, the emergency Coast Guard boats. Get them out there. We have our poor crews going to be drifting out in the Atlantic Ocean until they can be rescued. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, the G's are up to 14 G's. Wow, look at that. So that just did not work out. We are just blasting right over the Cape. There it is. Yep, that's where we were supposed to land. Goodbye, guys. Hello. That sucks. I do not like that at all. But there is no turning around with the capsule. It is what it is at this point. We are stuck in this trajectory, and holy cow, we are flying. We are just flying still. If we're lucky, we can land somewhere near the Bahamas, pop open some Mai Tais, enjoy some time on the beach until the Coast Guard gets there to save us. Oh my goodness. Well, it looks like we survived the harshest part of the reentry. I could just see Bimini Island over there. So we're near the Bahamas, but not perfectly. We're going to be out sort of drifting in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean here. And that is unfortunate, but you can see that our velocity is now manageable, and we are safely in Earth's atmosphere. The parachute should be popping out any moment now. Almost there, so we're just scrubbing a little bit of extra velocity. I'll just time accelerate, and there she goes. So there's the first parachutes. I think those are just smaller ones that control our speed, keep us from descending too quickly here before the big chutes pop out. So we'll just zoom out and enjoy this spectacular view of the mission coming to an end as we parachute down safely into the Atlantic Ocean instead of Cape Canaveral. Oh, well, sorry about that, guys, but we are safely back here at Earth, and what a journey it has been. It's been an absolute pleasure to make this series for you all. I've had so much fun flying this series. This is probably one of my most successful flights in orbiter, I'd have to say. Definitely thank you for following along. Thank you also to my Patreon supporters. I really appreciate your support, and I look forward to future videos. I'm working on my Titan documentary, which that will be the next video to come out. So until then, guys, thank you as always for watching. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.